One of the most common questions that I get in classes is, how do you do hairpin lace in the round? Well, this is a hairpin lace strip. This one doesn't have guidelines on it, but yours should have guidelines on it because it is much easier to work into a hairpin lace strip with guidelines than without guidelines. But in any case, making circular hairpin lace is simple. All you need is a hairpin lace strip and a tapestry needle with some yarn. Now, in this example, I'm using a yarn that's a different color than the strip, just to kind of make it a little easier to show you. And all I'm doing is I'm going into the strips along one side of, going into the loops rather, on one side of the strip. And if you don't have guidelines, which you should, it's kind of like, you'll only work a project without guidelines once, and then you'll learn that you need them. But in any case, if you, when loops become tangled up, if you really work in the, close to the spine of the strip, they're much easier to work into. And all I'm doing is threading my yarn through the loops. What could be simpler than that? Not difficult at all. Anybody could do this. A child could do this. My 9-year-old son could do this. And I'm almost to the end. And I'll show you a few magic things. Now, usually if you're following a pattern, this strip that I'm working here may not actually make a circle, but it's enough to really give you an idea. When you're following a pattern, the designer has done all the trial and error required to make sure that based on the width of the strip and the gauge of the strip, that you're actually going to be getting a circle and not a semicircle or some other kind of shape. This just happens to be a strip that was laying around the studio. Maybe I cut it off of another project, or it had been used in a class for teaching. All right, getting to the end, and you will see that now what I have is a strip where, yikes, let me back it out a little bit. I have a strip with some yarn going all the way along one side of the hairpin lace strip. And at this point, all I need to do is tie a knot. And that strip, can't you see the beginnings of a circle? Now, here's the deal. This strip was too short. There should have been more loops here so that the strip was longer to form a really nice circle. So, but in order to form a circle with a hairpin lace strip, all you need to do, I'll tie a knot, and then what I'll do is I'll take a tapestry needle and I'll run my yarn through several times in there, kind of work it in, work in my ends, and then cut off my ends. But for this example, I'm just going to cut this short. And then the last thing that you need to know about in order to work a circle in hairpin lace and with a hairpin lace strip is pay attention to these tails. You have a starting tail of the strip and an ending tail of the strip. In order to make a complete circle, all you need to do, bring these together. Now this one's going to be compressed because it's too short. This one's going to puff out. And that could be a design decision. You might want a strip with a circle with a puffy center. But it's not going to lay flat if the strip is too short. Now, what I'm going to show you to do is how to use the tails to weave a nice perfect circle. So here's my raggedy circle, okay? And of course I could choose to finish off the loops on this side of the circle in any way I wished. But all you need to do if I were actually wanting a puffy circle, a hairpin lace circle, I would take the tail and looking from the front, I just mimic, I'm going in, I'm just using the tails to weave this into a really nice seamless circle. And if you do it from the front of the work, because you do want to do it from the front of the work, you end up if you do the job right with something that is pretty seamless and nobody can really even tell that you didn't work this strip in the round. Now, I think I had used this hairpin lace strip for an example, showing people that when you work hairpin lace strips, you can actually cut the strip to create fringe. So these aren't actually loops anymore, they're actually fringe. But I think you're going to be able to get the idea of what I'm doing. So let's see, I did this one, and then let me take this other tail. You don't do it that many times because you don't really want to create a bulge. I go in there maybe once or twice, just kind of mimicking the stitch pattern that is that I see on the strip itself. And make sure it's relatively smooth. And this, because I'm kind of not even doing the best job, but it looks pretty smooth for what it is right there. And then what I would do is then after I would be done doing that, I would flip it over and then identify my tails and then just weave in my ends. And you always, with hairpin lace, you weave your ends in along the back of the work. Now hairpin lace strips don't have a wrong side or a right side, but once you join them, they develop a wrong side or a right side. So once you've determined what the wrong side or right side of your hairpin lace fabric is, go ahead and take the tails and weave them in along the back. So just giving you an idea that you would do it there, maybe go back once or twice, split your yarn so that you really get a good join, and there you have it. That is how to make a circle with a hairpin lace strip. Check out all of our hairpin lace patterns at stitchdiva.com. We've got a number of hats and also other designs that use circular hairpin lace.